Towards the close of World War II, our leaders recognized that the, quote, spirit of unity that had bound together all citizens of the United States during that war could be preserved to contribute to the future well-being of our country. They believed that it was critical for us to come together to continue to develop an active, alert, enlightened, and conscientious citizenry. It was on this premise that the National Conference on Citizenship was founded. For 79 years, our conference has been a space for organizations from across the country to convene, to be in dialogue, and to find new ways to work together to achieve these goals. As we look now ahead towards the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence next year, we have a once in a generation opportunity to harness the potential energy of engaged citizens all across the country. In marking America's 250th birthday, we have a choice. Will it just be flag cakes and fireworks? Or will it be a transformative moment that builds on the strengths and values that have sustained our nation over 2.5 centuries? We're at a critical moment for our nation. Polarization is increasing. Political violence grows. Social media and AI are deepening our divisions. We're being pulled away from one another physically and ideologically. So this is a moment where we must ask, if the next 250 years are going to improve on the last, how can we find ways to connect, to rebuild trust in relationships, and truly listen to one another? That's why today we're announcing the American Conversation Project. It's an ambitious effort in civic listening that aims to catalyze thousands of local conversations across the country to reflect on where we are and where we're going as a country. We're teaming up with many of the partners who are presenting today at the conference, including the National Civic League. I'm going to ask anybody who's in the room, please stand up. The National Civic League, Braver Angels, the National Issues Forum Institute, the Mediators Foundation, and the Institute for Citizens and Scholars, as well as others, to empower thousands of local leaders in their networks around a simple premise. Thank you guys so much. We want to empower local leaders in their networks around a simple premise. When we connect face-to-face and share our vision and our values through telling our own stories, we can listen to and learn from one another. We can build civic bonds, bridge across difference, and imagine together the future that we want to create. We're designing this project with Cortico, an effort emerging from MIT's Center for Constructive Communication. The model centers on small group conversations led by trained community members, where personal stories are shared, recorded, and collaboratively analyzed to enable sense-making across the whole breadth of dialogue. This process culminates in publishing and archiving community media across platforms that weave together voices and stories, making collective experiences audible and fostering mutual understanding. The approach is straightforward. We bring people together to engage in conversations on a few simple prompts. What has America meant to you? What are the challenges we need to overcome together today? And what should the next 250 years look like? Our goals are threefold. First, to capture stories and insights from communities everywhere. Second, to produce compelling narratives and media that show who we are as Americans and where we hope to go. And most importantly, to build agency and create new bonds of civic connection, conversations that help us bridge differences one story at a time. We're starting now. Thanks to support from the Carnegie Corporation, Cortico will be piloting youth-led conversations in local libraries across the country. As we enter 2026, we strive for the American Conversation Project to expand with the support of partners that represent thousands of conversations in all 50 states. A living record of American values at a turning point in our history. This is more than listening, it's civic listening. It's about learning from one another and about building the trust and connection we'll need to carry us forward. To give you a bit more detail on what this project is going to look like, I'm pleased to introduce Deb Roy from Cortico to talk about how this can help us be a better way to listen.
Good morning. So I'm really delighted to share a little bit of the vision that has hatched of the American Conversation Project, which we think really enables a better way to listen at scale. I'm going to start by sharing a little bit about the Cortico approach. Cortico is a nonprofit that I co-founded, and my colleague, our Chief Program Officer, Alex Kelly-Berman, is here today as well. And it's an approach that was born out of years of studying social media and AI and seeing some of the downsides, but also thinking about how to leverage bringing technology together in a new way to enable systematic listening. So I'm going to play a 1-minute video that just explains the approach that over the last 8 years Cortico has developed.
What's the best way to hear what people from across your neighborhood, your school, your workplace really have to say? Town halls and surveys can help, but they can make it hard to hear and be heard. Meet Cortico, a new kind of conversation that helps you surface and understand what might otherwise go unheard. Here's how it works. Step 1, talk. Not as one big group or in isolation, but in small groups for authentic conversations recorded and transcribed. Step 2, understand. Highlight moments to amplify and identify patterns across conversations with AI tools to support, not replace, human insight. Step 3, share. Share what people really have to say, with voice medleys and conversation maps that reveal the big picture. By harnessing the power of small group conversations, Cortico helps everyone across your neighborhood, your school, your workplace, hear and be heard.
So I want to unpack a little bit what this means in practice. As Cam said, the whole method is grounded in small group conversations, ideally face-to-face. And so our launch partners have expertise and networks of trust and the ability to organize these conversations. We have worked over the years with facilitated dialogue experts to create tools, to create conversation guides that in particular encourage people to move away from expressing opinions, but instead to express personal stories, experiences, which we found is a very powerful way to actually draw out connections between people who might think they have little in common. These are always facilitated by a community facilitator, and with permission, these conversations are recorded. Ideally, these happen in person, in a quiet space around a recording device. We found in practice to be more inclusive and to just really be able to open up the scale, being able to do these over Zoom and over a mobile app that we've developed also can be effective. The key is small groups that are in live conversation, hearing each other's voices, seeing each other's faces. When many conversations with shared prompts are recorded over, it could be over space, over time, we've developed sense-making methodology that, again, puts the power in the hands of people in the community to lift up and discover themes that emerge across conversations, essentially revealing the bigger picture that is shared. And these are converted into voice outputs like medleys and conversation maps. I'm going to share a couple examples with you in a minute. These can be then shared back with the people who participated, which creates a basis to understand what happened across those groups, and also to create media outputs that can make much of this public and really bring more authentic conversation and insights into the public sphere. So just to give you some examples in practice over the years, we've worked with youth-led groups, including training high school students to run this process of talk, understand, share. This is images from a public high school in Maine. Actually, it's grown now to several schools across Maine where youth-led conversations help bridge conversations with school administrators and teachers. We have just recently over the summer finished an effort where 11 youth leaders, mainly college students, learned how to run this process of talk, understand, share, and recruited 180 people in total to have conversations about what AI means for our future, thinking about the experiences young people are already having. This was in partnership with Frontline. So there's very interesting ways that media organizations can actually partner both to get insights from these kinds of conversations and turn them into new forms of media. So in Frontline's case, they're planning to produce short-form documentary videos that are informed by the themes emerging from these conversations. Last example, last year we partnered with a number of NPR stations across the country and trained their journalists how to host these small group conversations on the Cortico platform. And that led to a series of voice medleys that were embedded in nationally broadcast stories as part of their Seeking Common Ground series. So if you were to go to the Cortico website, you'll see various use cases, studies that we've published. We have confidence in the approach. We have partnered with now several hundred organizations, mainly across the US, and we're seeing a lot of engagement and kind of value working in local government context around community engagement to help shape policies, make hiring decisions, and have a public accountability because of some of the ways the outputs are displayed, which I'll again show you examples in a minute. We see a lot of energy in youth-centered organizations, in particular when young people are given the reins, when they learn how to actually run this process and see real impacts from the work that they're doing. And emerging areas, experiments, we think that are really promising in integrating with media organizations, and also as a new form of ethnographic research that is actually in partnership with communities. So I'm going to take a few minutes now and just let you hear some voices. So one format of the media output is called a voice medley. And I just pulled out here a medley which is people across many of these recorded conversations over the years where just as they're talking about hopes and concerns about their community, happen to talk about their own identity just in the wild, in these natural conversations. So this is just a collage to give you a sense of some of the people, and maybe the message of this medley is, this is really a method for everyone.
I am most definitely a city girl.
I'm a third-generation farmer.
I'm associate pastor of New Pleasant Grove Baptist Church.
I'm a combat veteran. I served overseas in Korea and in the Army.
My family and I came here as refugees from Vietnam.
I'm a white man living in the U.S. that's been educated.
I am a Muslim and a person of color.
When I was growing up, I grew up in a family that identified as very Irish.
I remember being asked, are you Puerto Rican or black or white? And I just didn't even know how to answer that question. I was like, I don't know. I'm what I am.
So one of the ways that we can publish the content from these conversation projects is what's called an online portal. So this is a second example. This is from a project called Real Talk for Change in Boston, which engaged several hundred people from all of the neighborhoods around Boston. And in this, this is one of the ways that a community partner can publish the results. If we click on the map, here I click on Dorchester, there are longer excerpts that you can listen to. These are reflections after the conversation.
I want to echo Davo and say, yeah, thank you all for just sharing your experiences. You know, it's just nice to interact with a different set of people who are all navigating the city differently. And although we have these questions and it sounds like a lot of frustration, it also sounds like there's just a lot of people just within this room that are kind of committed to like building a better city themselves. And so, you know, I'm going to walk away just thinking a little bit more about like what everyday empowerment looks like.
So this is actually, I just took this screenshot out of a public portal that the Boston Community Partners has published, and you can explore. One more example just of what the outputs look like. We partnered with the Museum of the United Nations around conversations around climate. And here in the portal, you can see, if you could read it says, power of the individual, emotions, problems and solutions. So this is prevalence with which these different themes emerged across conversations with several thousand people. If you click on power of the individual, we can go to sub-themes and awareness, initiatives and participation. We click on initiatives and participation, and again, we go down to actually being able to listen to excerpts from various conversations along these themes. So the talk, understand step leads to this kind of thematic analysis and a way to organize the conversations. So just to kind of zoom out then this process, what one of our, we love our phrases, and one of them is a different meaning for CPU, community-powered understanding, that this is a new form of social network that is grounded in these small group conversations and voice. And what I've highlighted here are different roles that people in the community can learn to play. So these are opportunities for leadership at a community level to learn how to design a prompt so it makes sense for your community, how to be a facilitator and hold space for small groups and bring them together, how to become a curator and decide which highlights from conversations ought to be heard across divides, how to be a sense maker, find those patterns, convert them into media outputs and make them shareable. We've developed training programs and a set of tools. There's a lot of AI that is embedded in some of the tools, but the philosophy in all of our work is that we are actually trying to enable communities to build civic muscle. So the tools are designed to strengthen those civic muscles and not to replace the role of the person, but rather serve as scaffolding that makes it more inclusive and easy to learn how to play these roles. And because of the technology links, it's possible to create networks of community networks. This is what happened, for example, when we work with NPR stations across the country. There is this ability to pool voices and find themes that emerge across scalable networks. And so that really brings us to the idea of the American Conversation Project. It's really exciting to watch, working in partnership with CAM and all of the organizations, many of whom are in the room, to be able to launch this. We do have some funding already in place from Carnegie Corporation, and this is to work with the American Library Association to establish a network of conversation hubs around the country, working in collaboration with libraries. And I think the call for those for the librarians is coming out in the next week or two. So this is about to get off the ground. And we already heard from Cam that some of the ideas here of the conversations that we hope will happen across the country surface answers or perspectives and stories related to these prompts of what has America meant to you, what challenges must we overcome together, and what should the next 250 years look like. And what we are envisioning is really a network of conversations that spans the country where we'll be able to visualize and listen to these themes that emerge. I'd like to end with just one more medley, and this is again just going into some of these conversations where at the end of the conversation, often people that participate spontaneously reflect on the experience of being in one of these small group conversations, talking about meaningful issues. So I'll just play a voice medley of some of the reflections that have come out of our work over the years.
Only when people feel understood can they understand others. I think it's really cool that stories provide opportunities for us to problem solve.
I have learned that a lot of people are coming with so much wisdom, and that when we just create the space, there's a lot of emergence that's really valuable and a lot of compassion that can lead somewhere that's constructive.
We got to respect that the people in the communities know what they want and need, and that they may not have the education and certifications, but they know their community.
We can self-determine and self-organize and say who we are because we are connected and we know what we want.
I think we have to remember that we should stop thinking as individuals and work as teams and collectives, and that we can be way more powerful that way.
In some ways, it makes you feel a little bit less alone and insular, and you feel a bit more engaged with other people's thoughts, and there's not actually a lot of disparity, which is quite comforting.
I am now imagining that we would see network of people that are collaborating with each other, inspiring each other, sharing with each other in order to break the boundaries and reduce inequalities.
Humanity is what's at stake. Hopefully our voices collectively can continue to do that ripple effect.
So I think there's a lot of opportunity here to do something together, and I hope you will join us. Back to Cam. Thank you.